Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome all to today's reading from Sri Caitanya Charitamrita, Adi Lila, chapter 17 we are reading from at the moment. And last time we were reading how Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami, he is just following in the footsteps of Vyasadeva, and he's also just giving us a recap of all the chapters he's written in the Adi Lila. So let us begin. Mukham Karoti Vachalam, Pangum Langhete Girim, Yat Kripatam Ham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataridam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram Hari Om Tat Sat. So we read already that in verse 313, Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami writes that in the first chapter of the Adi Lila, I offered the obeisances to the spiritual master, for this is the beginning of auspicious writing. And then in verse 314 he says, in the second chapter explains the truth of Sri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Krishna, the son of Nanda Maharaj. And 315, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahāprabhu, who is Krishna himself, has now appeared as the son of Mother Shachi. The third chapter describes the general cause of his appearance. So let us begin from verse 315. Tenhota Chaitanya Krishna Shachira Nandana Tritiya Parichede Janmera Asamanya Karana. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahāprabhu, who is Krishna himself, has now appeared as the son of Mother Shachi. The third chapter describes the general cause of his appearance. Verse 316. Tahi madhe prema dana vishesha karana yuga dharma Krishna nama prema pracharana. The third chapter specifically describes the distribution of love of Godhead. It also describes the religion of the age, which is simply to distribute the holy name of the Lord Krishna and propagate the process of loving him. Verse 317. Chaturthe kahilun janmera amula Mula Parayojana Swamadhurya Premananda Rasa Aswadana. The fourth chapter describes the main reason for his appearance, which is to taste the mellows of his own transcendental loving service and his own sweetness. Verse number 318. Panchame Shri Nityananda Tattva Nirupana Nityananda Haila Rama Rohini Nandana. The fifth chapter describes the truth of Lord Nityananda Prabhu, who is none other than Balram, the son of Rohini. Verse 319. Shashtha Parichede Advaita Tattve Vichara Advaita Acharya Mahavishnu Avatar. The sixth chapter considers the truth of Advaita Acharya. He is an incarnation of Mahavishnu, and as we know, on the last Friday of this month, we will have the appearance day of Sri Advaita Acharya. And just been told to us in verse 319 that he is the incarnation of Mahavishnu. Verse 320, Saptam Parichede Pancha Tattva Ra Akhyana Pancha Tattva Mili Yaiche Kaila Premadana. The seventh chapter describes the Pancha Tattva Shri Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shrivas. They all combine together to distribute love of Godhead everywhere. Verse 321. Ashtame Chaitanya Lila Varnan Karana Eka Krishna Namera Maha Mahima Kathana. The eighth chapter gives the reason for describing Lord Chaitanya's pastimes. It also describes the greatness of Lord Krishna's holy name. Verse 322. Navmete Bhakta Kalpa Vrikshera Varnana Shri Chaitanya Mali Kaila Vriksha Aropana. The ninth chapter describes the desired tree of devotional service. Sri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu himself is the gardener who planted it. So, Sri Chaitanya is called a Mali or a gardener here. Verse 323. Dashmete Moola Skandhera Shakhadi Ganana Sarva Shakha Ganera Yaiche Phala Vitarana. The 10th chapter describes the branches and sub-branches of the main trunk and the distribution of their fruits. Verse 333. Sorry, we just read verse 323. Now let's move on to verse number 324. Ekadashe Nityananda Shakha Vivarna Dvadashe Advaita Skandha Shakhara Varnana. The 11th chapter describes the branch called Sri Nityananda Prabhu. The 12th chapter describes the branch called Sri Advaita Prabhu. Verse 325. Trayodashe Mahāprabhura Janma Vivarna Krishna Nama Saha Yaiche Prabhura Janma. The 13th chapter describes the birth of Sri Caitanya Mahāprabhu, which took place with the chanting of the holy name of Krishna. Verse 326. Chaturdashe Balya Lila Rakichu Vivarna Panchadashe Poganda Lila Rasankshepe Kathana. The 14th chapter gives some description of the Lord's childhood pastime. The 15th chapter describes the Lord's boyhood pastime. Verse 327. Shodash Parichede Kaishor Lila Ra Uddesha Saptadashe Yovana Lila Kahilu Vishesha. In the 16th chapter, I have indicated the pastimes of Kaishora age, the age prior to the youth. In the 17th chapter, I have specifically described his youthful pastimes. Verse 328. A Saptadasha Prakara Adi Lilar Prabandha Dwadash Prabandha Tate Grantha Mukhabandha. Thus, there are 17 varieties of subjects in the first canto, which is known as the Adi Lila. 12 of these constitute the preface of this scripture. Verse 329. Pancha Prabandhe Pancha Rasera Charita Sankshepe Kailun Ati Na Kailun Vistrita. Vistrit is expanded. After the chapters of the preface, I have described 5 transcendental mellows in 5 chapters. I have described them very briefly rather than expansively. Verse 330. Vrindavan Das Iha Caitanya Mangale Vistari Varnila Nityananda Archna Bale. By the order and strength of Sri Nityananda Prabhu, Sri Vrindavan Das Thakur has elaborately described in his Chaitanya Mangal all that I have not. Verse 331. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Leela Adbhut Ananta Brahma Shiva Shesha Yanra Nahi Paya Anta. The pastimes of Lord Sri Caitanya Mahaprabhu are wonderful and unlimited. Even personalities like Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva and Sheshnag cannot find their end. Verse 332. Ye Amsha Kahe Shune Saidhanya Akire Milibe. Is it Achire or is it Asire or is it Akire Milibe Tare Shri Krishna Chaitanya. Anyone who describes or hears any parts of this elaborate subject will very soon receive the causeless mercy of Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Verse 333. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Advaita Nityananda Shivasa Gadadhar Adi Yata Bhakta Vrinda. Herein the author again describes the Panchatattva, Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Shivas and all the devotees of Lord Chaitanya. Verse 334. Yata Yata Bhakta Gana Vaise Vrindavane Namra Hana Shire Dharon Sabar Charane. I offer my respectful obeisances to all the residents of Vrindavan. I wish to place their lotus feet on my head in great humbleness. Verse number 335 and 336. Shri Sarup Shri Rupa Shri Sanatan Shri Raghunath Das R Shri Jiva Charana Shri Shire Dhari Vandan Nitya Karon Tanra Ashra Chaitanya Charitamrit Kahe Krishna Das. I wish to place the lotus feet of the Goswamis on my head. The names are Shri Sarup Damodar, Shri Rupa Goswami, Shri Sanatan Goswami, Shri Raghunath Das Goswami and Shri Jiva Goswami. Placing their lotus feet on my head, always hoping to serve them, I, Krishnadas, narrate Shri Chaitanya Charitamrit following in their footsteps. Thus ends the Bhaktivedanta purports to Shri Chaitanya Charitamrit Adi Lila 17th chapter, describing the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his youth. This is the end of the Adi Lila but I'm just wondering that how come there is no mention of Gopal Bhatt Goswami here. It is Swarup Damodar. He is considered to be one of the Goswamis, along with Rup Sanatan Jeev Raghunath Das Goswami, and anyway, we have come to the end of Adi Lila, and next time we shall begin from Madhya Lila. So thank you for joining. Hari Om Tat Sat. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami ki jai. Shri Chaitanya Mahāprabhu ki jai. Nityananda ki jai.